Well, it's hard not to be excited after a video like that. Welcome back, folks, to a brand new season of Collegiate Call of Duty. My name is McCormiel. With me is Cash, and we get to kick off yet another fantastic season of what is going to be great Call of Duty to come. Cash, it's a pleasure to be back with you as a duo on the desk. But first and foremost, I have to ask, how you doing on this beautiful Monday night?
Amazing. I mean, you got to watch that video a little bit earlier. That was my first watch of it, so, you know, you kind of get the goosebumps a little bit at some of those calls. You were, I mean, hey, maybe it's duo bias, but you were frying in some of those highlights as well. But what a great intro video, and of course, I'm more than excited for tonight.
Yeah, we got plenty of teams, plenty of things to talk about overall here for the entirety of the Collegiate Call of Duty season. But realistically speaking, I think it's important that we kind of highlight, you know, what is to come over the course of the entirety of the season, and what better way to do that with a format video explaining everything that you could be looking forward to here over the course of the Modern Warfare 2 season.
Welcome to CCL 2023, where College COD is back for its 5th season. Due to scheduling conflicts and feedback from our community, we have decided to revise our announced format for the 2023 season. This year, teams will be divided into 4 regions based on their geographical location. Starting in the last week of January, the College COD season will begin with 2 regional qualifiers that will divide each region into 2 divisions, Division 1 and Division 2. The top 12 teams from each region's first qualifier will make up the 48 total teams in Division 1, whereas the top 12 teams from each region's second qualifier will make up the 48 total teams in Division 2. Both divisions in each region will play each other in their own 6-week season, playing every team in their division once. Following the regular season, every team in Division 1 in each region will automatically advance to playoffs, with the top 8 receiving a first-round bye. The top 4 teams from Division 2 in each region will also advance to playoffs, whereas the bottom 8 teams will have to fight through Season 5's playoff LCQ. The teams that did not qualify for Division 1 or Division 2 will be placed in their region's Open Division. Open Divisions will be divided into groups of 12 that will play their own 6-week season, identical to the teams in Division 1 and Division 2. The top 16 teams from each region's Open Division will advance to the LCQ, where they will have their chance to fight for a spot in the Season 5 playoffs. Each region will host their own LCQ, where the top 8 will advance to regional playoffs. Each region will also host their own 24-team playoff, where the winner of each playoff will secure one of the first 4 spots to fight for a championship on LAN. The final teams will be determined by a LAN qualifier. Teams who place 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in their respective playoff will be seeded into 4 groups of 3, where round-robin play and a single elimination bracket will determine the final 4 teams who will go to LAN with their shot at becoming the Season 5 College COD champions.
Well, thank you to Alan for the breakdown of what we'll see throughout the entirety of the season. And again, you know, this is, at least in my opinion, Cash, you know, a really solid formatting that we have for the year, because it's going to pit a lot of the best teams up against the best teams in the regular season. So we're going to have banger after banger every single week as we progress all the way up until playoffs. But here's what the teams will be playing for throughout the entirety of the 2023 season. First place, $16,000 in scholarship prizing to that first place team. As we go down the list, $8,000, $6,000 for second and third place respectively, and then we start getting down to the smaller, albeit still impressive numbers for the teams that place 4th through 8th place. But Cash, I kind of want to hear your overall thoughts on the formatting for this season. You know, tell me your favorite parts about it, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy the fact that every match matters. You know what I'm saying? Through the regular season, it all going to weigh an impact to not only playoff seeding, but other implications, especially when you get down to the open bracket, right, and trying to fight to get up and get your chance to make it to LCQ, make it into playoffs. So, again, I really like how much importance is placed on each match. Some teams, you know, you hear talk about at times, maybe in years past, about how, hey, if they're a dominant team, we're kind of on cruise control through regular season because we feel like a lock for playoffs, but that's just not the case here. And so I'm excited these teams have to give it their best shot every week. And as you said, with the competition being the level it is within each division and how that was qualified out and sifted out, it definitely is going to be really exciting to see week after week how good these matches are.
Yeah, I mean, if you've been privy to the CCL for the last few years and whatnot, you'll understand some of the elements that we have. Obviously, there's new introductory elements that we have inside of the formatting this year. And if you don't quite understand it just yet, you know, maybe watch the video back a few times, or you just keep watching throughout the regular season and you'll kind of understand where we're going to be going throughout the entire year. Just talking about everything else, though, in terms of this format, yes, you know, being that second split that we're going to have where the top teams are kind of facing off against one another, that to me at least goes to show that, you know, even if you know, like in previous years past, are at the top of division, you know, Division 2 or Pool B or Pool C or whatever, It doesn't mean that you're the best team within your, whether it be the West, the Midwest, any of those regions. It doesn't mean you're the best team there. You could be maybe the 5th or 6th best team, or even drop it even further than that. So other than that, pretty cool stuff that we have lined up for the entirety of the year. But again, I do want to give a big shout out to the people that make this possible and the sponsor that we have here for Collegiate COD this season. One shout out to Fandom, but as well as America's Navy. Just talking about America's Navy a little bit. The Navy is the most esteemed smart force that pushes the boundaries of what is possible. With 51 major bases in the U.S. and around the world, no other military service that provides greater opportunities for travel, not only inside of the continental United States, but around the world as well. To learn more, you can go find different links and whatnot to America's Navy by visiting Navy.com for more information about that. But again, thank you so much to the Navy and Fandom for being the sponsors of Collegiate COD this season. Cash, now just talking about the overview of Call of Duty for the collegiate season. We talked about the formatting, prizing, all that. Let's talk about the teams that make up the complexion of what we'll have throughout the entire year. 4 different regions, 12 teams in each of those regions, 48 teams in total. Let's talk about the Division 1 teams, though, starting with the Midwest region. We've got a lot of returning schools in here, and again, if you have been watching the CCL for quite some time, you're going to know almost all of these schools within this 12-team graphic that we have on screen just for the Midwest region. Obviously, the reigning CCL champions in Northwood Esports. You've got Ottawa up there, the runner-ups inside of the 2021 season. You got Illini, COD, Davenport. There's so many teams inside of here. It's hard just to pick out one.
It really is, and I know for you and I historically, through other collegiate matches and scenes, St. Clair, Northwood, that's going to be a matchup all year long. I know that us specifically will have our eyes on as maybe a budding rivalry in a sense, where they constantly find themselves right in those final positions through events recent. So excited to keep an eye on that. But as you said, so many familiar faces here in this Midwest region for Division 1.
Yeah, next and certainly not least, we got Northwood Northeast coming up next. And again, I'm not going to say it every single time, but teams that you're going to expect in here, Penn State, who was at the top of their division last year instead of the Southeast. It was weird that they were in the Southeast, but regardless, they were in the Southeast. Then you also have the Akron Zips roster. You got Bobcat Esports as well. Just tons of great teams that are going to be facing off against one another. Expect these guys to be conversational topics and names that we get to towards the end of playoffs as well.
Yeah, I had mentioned it Saturday, and, just to bring it up again, it's just really cool. My alma mater in Bobcat Esports, first-year program in the collegiate Call of Duty scene. They were able to qualify for Division 1, so of course, me personally, I'll have my eyes on them, but just for a team to come in off the break with a brand new team to qualify for, what the highest level is we have here, really excited to see what they're able to put together.
Absolutely. For the Southeast region, another 12 teams coming up. Alabama, Crimson Tide down there in the bottom left. You see Concord Esports, the third place, the runner-ups, quite a long time ago back in the Cold War season. You've got COD LSU, who are still undefeated at this point inside of the CCL season. Will that change? Obviously, we have no clue just yet. We've got a couple other teams on there. You can highlight High Point Esports, as well as the UT Chattanooga roster that we'll see a little bit later on stream. But, Cash, there's just so many teams to pick from.
There really are. We're not even halfway through our graphics yet, and seeing all of these squads up here, it's just unreal, the talent that we have inside of these, not only divisions, but inside of these groups. Mars Hill, another first-year program coming in, qualifying in a very tough Southeast region. So these new teams that are popping up, that's what I'll be keeping my eye on early on in the season to see, what kind of statement they can continue to make.
Absolutely. Well, now talking about the West and the last of our Division 1 teams that we have to get through, you'll see names in here, of course, St. Edward's top left. They're always going to be, for whatever reason, a sneak team inside of the CCL. They've been that way for the last 2-3 years, where they've always just kind of been lingering around. They always have a threat to take it to that next step. You got Texas State in there as well. Westcliff, another land team from last season. Oklahoma Christian, you think of that roster last year with Fastball, Gus, and whatnot. That's a team that we always have to look out for. But again, just when you take it kind of into account all the accolades just in the West region alone, and then pair that up against all the other regions, it makes you start to think you really don't have a clear picture of who's the favorite this year.
Not at all. I guess just to sum up, these Division 1 qualifiers and who else made it, it is worth noting, and it's exciting that all 8 teams that made it to the LAN last year did qualify for Division 1 this year. So really exciting to see what those teams are able to do now, and kind of this highest level. And again, also worth noting, they all finished, at least through qualifiers, undefeated, apart from Northwood. So again, just some early animosity, some early things going on where, hey, let's see what you're able to do. Let's see how long you can kind of run the top of your division, because none of these look like easy ones.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Fame leaving that roster too, that's going to make things a little bit more tricky for the Northwood roster going forward. So already losing one one series, it definitely doesn't look great for them on paper. Looking at the Division 2 side of the Midwest, again, all these teams still have very easy contention to be in the first division later on in the season. But at least for right now, through the qualifiers, you have Purdue within this list. You've got Concordia, Wisconsin, Redbird Cod, Wisconsin Cod, all names that last year really started to make their way forward. They took leaps as their organizations and these teams inside of collegiate Call of Duty. So all these programs have a lot to look forward to this year, and I'm excited to see which team takes that next step.
And to continue prefacing this Division 2, this is by no means, no means, as you had said, any kind of teams that you should, turn your head to or anything. It's a matter of one map that could have stopped these teams from making it into Division 1. So, again, that's what it boils down to. That's how high level the competition is here. And looking at these teams that are standing out, again, Redbird COD, one that you've seen, watched University of Windsor really dominate this weekend as well in their qualifiers. So many great teams that are going to continue to, as you said, rise to the occasion and really carving out names for themselves.
Absolutely. Taking a look at Northeast Division 2. This one has a bit more of a, I wouldn't say lackluster feel to it, but there's a lot of up in the air kind of, head-to-head matchups that we'll be watching for, because a lot of these teams not necessarily have made a big impact on the CCL beforehand. A lot of new programs entering into this season, but you have recurring ones like you have McMaster. You've also got Carleton in there, Fanshawe as well. It's not like these organizations haven't been in the CCL and haven't proved that they can, withstand the test of time and even compete for potential playoff spots. But again, this is a relatively unproven division, and I think it has a lot of upside.
Absolutely. I mean, Baldwin Wallace, another first-year CCL program. They made their COD Esports debut in the fall behind their leader in Conwa, and they're going to look to continue to grow their program behind him and what he brings to this Baldwin Wallace team. So another young, budding squad that's just trying to prove their worth, as you said, in a very up-in-the-air and kind of make a name for yourself type of region.
Absolutely. I promise these graphics are going to end soon, so stick with us. For the Southeast, though, the region that I'm privy to the most, you have Florida Gulf Coast Esports. Their kind of return run here this time. Last year, they didn't feel like they necessarily accomplished everything that they wanted to, so they're going to be trying to get back to where they think they should be throughout the entirety of this upcoming season. Shenandoah, Georgia Southern in there. Just some really solid all-around teams are going to be looking to make a big impact and even slip into Division 1 later on in the season.
Absolutely. I think Teniner Esports, Colonel Esports out of Nickel State, the same. All of their players are locked in and ready to get going this season to kind of start that redemption run.
Absolutely. All right. And here's the final one. I know we're going to get into the games here soon, but for the West in the final Division 2, 12 teams that we have to run through, Arizona State should be the team that's at the top of your list there. Whenever Fishity is involved in a roster, that roster is going to at least have some sort of expectation of a deep playoff run. And you can also expect, even with new players joining and leaving that roster at any given turn, it's a revolving door that's always going to somehow land them at the top of the conversation when it comes to teams in the CCL. So look out for them, along with of course, the culmination of all the other teams here in the West.
Having so much to offer, and that's the rundown of all of the teams, all the top 12 teams from each region that qualified for Division 1 and Division 2, and that's not even all of the teams that we have playing. You saw in the intro graphic, 280 teams. Where the rest of them at? Well, they're playing through the open bracket as well, and the opens to get themselves, kind of again in a position where they can make a run in playoffs once that postseason matters. So no matter what division you're in, all of these matches matter throughout the regular season, and what all of these teams need to do starts tonight, and the runs that they make, the building process. If it didn't start in qualifiers, it's starting right now. It's real deal prime time.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's kind of funny just like going back and looking like when I joined from like the Cold War season here inside of the CCL broadcasting group, we went from where we were kind of like, it was like, oh my God, 180 teams is crazy. Now that there's 280 teams competing in the Collegiate COD League, that just goes to show the growth year over year that we have been able to, kind of foster here in the CCL. But it just goes to show how many more schools are continuing to learn about Call of Duty at the collegiate level and starting to dip their toes as programs into everything as well. But just talking about the matchup here that we have coming up first in our best of 5 series, High Point Esports, UT Chattanooga. They played once last year, but this is the first time they're going to be able to face off this season. And maybe from the outside looking in, it doesn't feel like there is that much riding on this series, but really within the cracks is where you start to see that kind of budding rivalry starting between these two teams.
And it's one where both teams are out to try to prove something again this season, right? Both maybe faltered or fell a little short to their even own expectations last year, and again want to continue building on success that they had found regardless of where they ended up. So like you said, whether it be a budding rivalry, whether it be trying to redeem their own expectations and kind of go on their own redemption arc, these schools have a lot to play for just on night one.
Yeah, and talking, kind of specifically into one team over the other first, High Point Esports, they were in a kind of weird spot last year because they were at the top of Pool B inside of the Southeast, and then things didn't necessarily go their way inside of Pool A, and then they barely missed out on the East playoffs where they weren't able to actually compete for a spot on LAN. That kind of derailed everything that they had worked for throughout the season. That's kind of where they're coming from in a way of they want to correct that going into this year, the CCL. And really, as hard as it is for me to say, there's only two ways this can go. It can either go up or it can go down. You can make that next leap as a program into the season, or you can take a step back and say, all right, well, where are we going wrong this year? How are we going to be able to fix that? And it's really hard to be able to kind of, foster that growth after a season that kind of was almost stunting that growth at the same point.
And, the thing you talked about to look at going into this one, if you want to talk about making that continued growth into the season, you have a pivotal piece to this roster, and that's going to be Sexton back for another year. And no matter who else rounds out this squad, you can't count them out with a player like that playing for HPU. So that's going to be something, again, really to keep an eye out for what he can do to kind of lead this team in their early stages, to continue their building blocks, making themselves a deeper run as the season goes on. But we'll dive more into UT Chattanooga after this one as well, as we're already here in Map 1 Hotel.
Yeah, you can see up at the top right, Slim, Red Chase, both returning from the previous year Call of Duty. One name you won't see there is going to be Clicked, and that is going to be a big conversational topic that, again, Cash alluded to. We'll talk a little bit more after Map 1 is over. First 30 seconds off the clock, UT Chattanooga, the sole possession of point number 1 here early on Hotel, and as you saw on the map said, 3 doses of Hotel early on in the series. You're going to get old a bit quick.
Pixels brewing, fighting for P2 while the rest of High Point rotate back. They're going to win that gunfight. While this hill's still active, expect spawns to still be up for grabs. UT Chattanooga going to try to regain around the mid-map now that they're spawning deep out kitchen. Going to have to make this push across, but hey, at least you give yourself a nice 25-second point buffer to try to get an early break.
Yeah, this is where we'll see the first opportunity for UT Chattanooga to break in towards a hard point. This will tell us a lot about how this team is going to try and play together. And you can already see everybody trying to all funnel through the left side, over by the restaurant, through the back rotation, and try to go for spawns. However, Sebi's going to be there. He's already on 5 in a row to start off map number 1. Going to be looking for number 6, but Superior will shut down before streaks are in the conversation for HPU. However, the Panthers have done a nice job of reclaiming themselves a bit of time here. First 20 seconds go their way.
And the first player spawns out in Sexton, so that call-up's going to come in that everyone for Chattanooga threatening to try to get the break. A pinstripe kill feed, but you're still holding on if you're High Point. Sebi, Sexton, single-handedly keeping them alive in this one. A full 60 just about still on the docket. Chattanooga still going to try to get in, but you can already see the foot race going to kitchen in the top left corner of your map. So you have 20 seconds or so that you got if you're Chattanooga, but these next gunfights going to be very telling if you can get an early setup.
I mean, yeah, you're happy to break that, but you only get the scrap time, and then you force the hand of your opponents to be like, okay, well, we can just get across the map. We can get these spawns early on. This is exactly what they do. So now it's going to be once again UT Chattanooga trying to break through the front and kitchen, and well, that's just unfortunate for the Panthers. You break in from both sides of the hill. Don't look exactly where you need to. Chattanooga wins the gunfights and they'll win the spawns at the same time. Also, you have to look to Superior, who's also trying to make a flank route all the way through the bottom portion of the minimap. That could be big here in about 5-10 seconds time. Slim now trying to get in through the door. Stun not going to be able to find it. 2-1 trade. Sebi picks up Superior all the way in the back line, and that shuts down the surprise opportunity that UT Chattanooga had.
And you really did give about 20 seconds. The flank coming in from Superior doesn't happen quick enough. You end up spawning the rest of your teammates out as the other two are left to fend for themselves in kitchen. So you have to break back in. Fortunately, you're able to do that with the clean kill feed. So you only give up 10 or so seconds now. Continue to grow your lead as it's getting out towards 20, 30 points at this point. High Point still with numbers on rotation, continuing to win gunfights. For Chattanooga, you'd like to get a clean setup in if you can. For now, you're relying on the break, but hey, that's got you a lead and still continuing to gather the scrap time. You can put some numbers on rotation.
UT Chattanooga, fortunate at least early on inside of this game with the decisions that they've made, put themselves up by about 50 points now. Big thing, though, slaying on both sides really is not that far apart, and High Point are still continuing to keep up with UT Chattanooga at this standstill. So, rotation over towards the bar. Purple arrows are going to be here. You can see player number 5 in Superior starting to make his way through the back line. Slim's going to cut one down, tries to snap back around. Sebi's almost able to make the gunplay work. Won't be able to walk away with the kill, though. And as you see, Red Chase hop back across. He's now on 5 in a row, looking for number 6. Can you turn around on a Sexton? The answer is no for the time being, but UT Chattanooga and those yellow arrows, they're inside of the bar.
And I think for that break, it was one, well executed by UT Chattanooga, but two, for High Point, I just don't think they were fully aware that players had wrapped that cleanly through the back. You saw the arrows kind of spinning and swiveling, not aware of where the next push could be coming from, a couple times getting shot in the back. So again, for UT Chattanooga, they take the routes, it pays off for them. High Point caught a little lost in the sauce, and now they already at 20 seconds, chalking it up, going to try to get a clean setup in, but for Mox COD, with the lead you have, you can push across the map and apply pressure on this to not give them a clean setup.
I love this from Red Chase. Already on 7 in a row. Has streaks to work with. First one going to be spotted up on the catwalk. Now you can deal with the last 2 players from HBU who are inside of the restaurant while also waiting for the rest of the reinforcements of those yellow arrows from UT Chattanooga to get across the map. Sexton, first kill there on the Pixels. Red Chase now in and around the corner, just trying to sneak in the best of his abilities. First one up is going to be Brewing. Falls. Second one over towards the left. Not going to matter. It's his teammates who come through the back line to help on out, but it's still Red Chase here on 9 in a row.
See what more damage he can deal. It is going to be High Point earning time, but as the rest of the players collapse, there's only one left to take care of. Chattanooga, you can tell that their teamwork and coordination is so on point. They're hitting the timings, hitting out the cuts whenever they need to, and finding the kills as well. Now you can start to see that slaying deficit maybe marginalize that much more towards Chattanooga. Of course, Devilish at 3 and 9. You'd love to see that performance pick up for High Point if they want to stay alive in this one, but ultimately, P6, they've got to find a way to respond here with how sharp UT Chattanooga is playing. They need the scrap. They need a full 60 to get back into this one. Otherwise, Chattanooga might just be running away with it.
And Brewing's in a great spot as well. Here in Red Chase will be the first 2 points of contact for Chattanooga. Push back over towards the point. You see him just play passive here on the backside staircase. Superior will get a nade up over the top. Won't weaken the player up, but it will be shots up from Slim, who are going to be able to go ahead and find their way on to Brewing. Cut him down on the back line, and now it's up to Sexton with the pistol, who will push on forward. 2 kills go his way. Trades immediately from High Point University, and this will allow them to go ahead and hold the time initially here on P6. However, it's Red Chase who shuts all hopes of that down immediately after the fact.
Look at Pixels going on a tear. He's on 4. I've just been watching his arrow as they're spawning restaurants still until the spawns finally go P4 there, but was playing just the cutoff man to where his teammates just had to pick the kills, and he's like, hey, I have them all crossing mid-map. Was able to find 4 of them as his team was getting the break. So once again, the positioning they're playing around the map, playing it to perfection. And now High Point scrambling, playing on the back foot. Still not out of it just yet. If they get the last bit of time here, only down 60 points, but it only gets harder with this next kill and P2 to really try to lock down substantial time if you aren't able to get a good setup.
If you're on the Panthers, good news. You got past that 100-point mark. That looks so daunting to get past beforehand. Mox COD, though, going to try and get themselves past that 200-point mark and really start putting themselves in conversation of getting this game out of reach. Devilish will have to back off for the time being. Pops dead silence, opts to back up towards his spawn, realizes there's nobody else there for help, but as Sebi just challenges directly forward towards the hill, that basically negates what High Point was trying to set up around this hill for a good, clean team break back in towards it. Devilish, though, will finally get behind one. Sebi there for a nice double kill. He's going to get himself in towards the bottom of P1, but it might be too little too late. Chattanooga have already got themselves just 5 points away from 200. Yes, you can swing a couple of hills together here and get yourselves a nice bit of time together, but how much is too much to overcome?
It feels like this rotation is going to be the answer to that question. This is everything for High Point to be able to stay back in it. A full 60 not only puts them back in it, but gives them the lead. Sebi finds 2 on transition, and this was a good hill for High Point. Chattanooga only broke in at the last 20 seconds. So if there is a hill ever you needed to come back on if you're a High Point Esports fan, it is going to be this one. Superior opens things up. What can you find? A trade off screen does come in, but this is going to be it.
I mean, if you're Red Chase, you're shooting yourself in the foot for having to turn around back off that staircase. You have the head glitch to your advantage, and you're not able to walk away with a kill. That gave High Point the immediate spawns in the back line and full possession of P2. Now you're having to force from the backside in, something you weren't able to do until 20 seconds the last time through. So we'll see what they can do this time on in. Devilish, the first kill up onto Superior. 50 seconds separate the 2 teams. A big comeback from the Panthers here could spoil what Chattanooga had set up for themselves early in map 1. And as they still continue to look on the outside in, it's going to be very difficult to even start to consider pushing for last 20 seconds of the hill.
As a team, they found 11 consecutive kills before Slim was able to get the kill there. Now pushing through the front, trades going back and forth. High Point still with spawns, still with presence here. This is a big one-on-one for the scrap. You're going to win it if you're Chattanooga. That will put you at 235. Now on rotation, it's a must-win for you. You need the spawns in the back. Slim takes the gunfight. That should give Chattanooga spawns here. And for High Point, you just have to worry to not one-on-one fly at this and maybe take these gunfights and give them individual ones. You need to wait for your teammates to group up here, get a good clean break, turn that into a good hold.
I like that play by Devilish. Doesn't push out to the back lines, doesn't know how many Chattanooga players are going to be coming in from that left portion of the mini-map, the spawn side of the restaurant. as he sits down, waiting for the rest of his teammates to get back in through. UT Chattanooga are starting to set up themselves for a push. Red Chase going to be the first one there. Shots on the Brewing are good. Devilish, the second one to fall. 2 immediate kills to the side of UT Chattanooga, but it's another double that comes back from High Point, and a third one that goes their way. 1v1 in the hill. Slim tries to snake, but Sexton will win the gunfight, putting the side of the Panthers up 200 now. Down by 14 still, yes, but they have 26 seconds of time that could garner them the lead.
You have one player here left to go for this time. Devilish able to sniff it out. Now on rotation, Chattanooga are having to give it up. They need to get a good setup here. High Point have battled back into this one, being down nearly 100 at one point, rallying back to the last 2 hills behind Sexton, having a 20-17 performance with over 2 minutes of hill time. Needing to finish strong to close it out. Devilish has slipped the back line. It's going to force Chattanooga to turn around. What can you find through the front as well as this pitch develops? Unfortunately, Red Chase sniffs it out.
Sniffs it out, but this is going to be the deciding factor of the game here. Either High Point are going to be able to break in, or Chattanooga hold this for the rest of the time and maybe force another hill over to the opposite side of the map, back by a restaurant. Slim, first one up though, challenges for a second, sees the last player up. Oh, aggressive there. Don't know if I like it, but he has teammates still here around the point, and the spawns are going to be close. The Panthers now making their way forward. Red Chase trapped in a corner. First shots are going to be good. The second one just trying to pitter-patter on the staircase. They're going to double challenge it up, but they're not going to be able to find anything just yet. Pixels is there, but Sebi for a double. Pixels on the back line, but it's Sebi who pops around. 31-17, 3 in a row, and that break might have just saved the game for the Panthers.
And they can still win it here. You have to fly back at this if you're Chattanooga. Both teams still with the opportunity to win it here. Sebi frying with these kills, able to find 4, trying to find the 5th in a row. Just 8 seconds to close this one out.
It's Superior. He's going to force the challenge, and Sebi walks away with the gunfight. 5 in a row. 2 seconds left. Nobody from the Mox COD roster close to the point. And then map 1, a surprising comeback, but a strong finish from the Panthers will get them a 1-0 series lead.
At one point, it was 150 some odd points to 30 or 40. High Point Esports battling back down a hill and a half deficit. Sebi 34-17 with, I'll give him the 3,600 damage. I mean, he started off hot with a streak. Also closed things out fantastically as well. 29 of those kills non-traded. Absolutely going to be a pain point. And again, the way everyone was able to get nearly 60 seconds or upwards of 2 minutes of time. The rally back there, impressive. It all started off on the second set of rotations, and from there, again, where the slang had kind of fallen off for them in the early mid portions of that, they were able to battle back and rally back. Sebi there closes it out the form. Unreal way to bounce back and show resilience early.
Might I just say, what a way to start off the season for the CCL here. There's not much closer hard points that you're going to be able to get to see than that. And again, you know, we kind of said originally, maybe not a traditional rivalry in the sense of things, but with how close things have gotten between these two teams in the last year. Yes, High Point absolutely want to beat the Mox COD roster that beat them in a 3-0 sweep the last time through. So, I mean, we'll take a look at the replay here, but I mean, with the lead the Mox COD got off to, I honestly thought it was over.
It was really the P6 hill that was telling that, again, if they had given that up to Chattanooga, it could have been over. High Point were able to battle, make it scrappy, and from there, P1, the same thing, made it scrappy. Just started winning 40-20 all of these hills. P2 was the huge one as well, where they were able to get through the back, force those players to spawn out from here. Again, P3 played scrappy for them the second go-around. Just good resilience from them to play for the 30-30 time where they needed to, and when they could get a clean setup, they capitalized on it. Chattanooga just unable to get the breaks.
I mean, you look to Sebi, I mean, throughout the entire game, you know, he was piecing the whole map. There wasn't a point where, like, you're like, oh, Sebi slowed down a little bit. Maybe this is where things start to get tricky for High Point. It's like, no, Sebi's still frying. They have a chance in this game. You know, one hill goes the wrong way. And again, I think it comes down to, you know, that rotation back over towards P2. When Chase lost the one-on-one gunfight on the back staircase, you lose that completely. This kill right here by Devilish was big, but it was the fact that he didn't choose to push out to the spawn side and get overtly aggressive that kept the Panthers inside of that hill and allowed them to be able to double back with that 2-piece that came in the restaurant as well there from Sebi that really just cleaned things up and held the rest of that scrap time down was huge. And then, of course, at the end of the game here, Sebi once again.
And, I mean, the score run there, you saw it when P2 was popped. It was Chattanooga 205 to 140, so 110 to 30 point run that they were able to make. High Point there to close it out. So I want to say they split hills 30 for 30. Not even that. They were finding 45, 50 seconds. If it was, you know, contested or empty time, that was favoring High Point on the comeback for them to just keep riding momentum, keep points away from UT Chattanooga. If you're Mox COD, you're kicking yourself for that one, knowing you had opportunities to close it out. But again, you can't discredit what High Point was able to do to bring things back on the back of Sebi, of course.
Yeah, I mean, out of those 34 kills, 29 went untraded from UT Chattanooga. That's I mean, I'll say it, unacceptable. When you're playing in hardpoint, especially in late game situations, where you have, a 70, almost 80 point lead going into that 200 point mark. And it's like, okay, well, how do we only get 39 points there at the end when when High Point just come back and basically get 120 on us? So they went on a big run towards the end. That can't be understated. Now the question remains, where do we go into map 2 from this? How do we go back to the same, change of pace onto another hotel map for search and destroy and kind of have a different play call in the back of the mind? Because it's going to be hard not only to get as close as we did there from the hard point on this hotel map, but realistically, UT Chattanooga, you've got a big tall order and task in front of you now, saying, all right, now we got to tie this series up 1-1, where we probably should have been in a 1-0 advantage.
I think it's something where, again, I think you keep it simple. So much of what I've been talking about for MW2, when you take a tough map 1 loss, whether it be by a close score line or a stomping, using the pacing reset to kind of gather yourselves. But again, getting to the bare bones of what search and destroy is. You have a few key points you're looking at: winning in the first blood column, at least if you can't do that, trading effectively in the mid round, and from there executing on your set pieces around the bomb site. So those are kind of the 3 big points in an S&D that you can control and dictate to an extent where that can bring you back into a game, right? If you're going to go into those first blood engagements, maybe play with someone available for the trade offensively, as long as the defense isn't running at you super aggressively to where you can't even get out of the spawn. Off these first rounds, take advantage of being able to get to the bomb site and executing well around it. Something, I'd even brought up Saturday: intention versus execution of plays. You can intend and mean to do these things, but really whether you can go out and run them, that's going to separate good teams from great teams, and that's only going to show here early on, if not for the rest of the season.
And you can see up in the top there the bans from each of the 2 teams, respectively, inside of the series, what maps they didn't want to play. Of course, coming from the Chattanooga side of things, talking about the losing team of the series, at least right now, they didn't want to play that Fortress. Understandable. I completely get that. Of course, going to Hotel, it allows for you to play really both the bomb sites. A lot of the maps inside of Modern Warfare 2, very one-dimensional, one bomb site favorite. When you talk about a hotel map, though, you can afford to go to either bomb site and not feel too uncomfortable really on either one of them. So first and foremost, 2-2 split on the offensive side. Chattanooga going to start their force with the bomb over towards A. Could ramp it back to B if they don't see any enforcements there from High Point Esports. But again, really what comes down to in the search and destroy, and really that change of base in the end of the hard point, is just being without Click. What does that do for this team? And I guess you've already kind of seen it there. They lose a clutch, aggressive player.
They most definitely do. But you've got to turn a new leaf. You got to build around who you have here. And I'm looking at Red Chase, Slim in this one to get things going in the search and destroy early. Stagnant at about the 50-yard line of the map. More so passive out of High Point, waiting for Chattanooga to come to them. No decision being made with the bomb, though it is, as you said, leaning towards the A site. I'm waiting for these players over at the B site to push things out. That's got to be why you're running the 2-2 split, is to see if you can make the swing. They don't have any intel yet. Sebi might connect here with a sniper in a moment on Red Chase. At least gets eyes on him, so he's going to stand down for now. But you can see the play call coming in. Chattanooga are all in today.
They wanted to rotate out over towards B, but they started getting up and towards the middle of the map, and now Sebi going to be forced to back off with sniper in hand, but it's Pixels who opens up the round. 4-3 life advantage for UT Chattanooga. Bomb going to go down with 45 seconds for a retake.
I really like Red Chase. That's how you mitigate the effects of a sniper. You get up and in their face. Sebi was not expecting him to come up those stairs and chow the way he did. That's why you see the flinched reaction. Now he knows he's able to immediately wrap back, get the bomb planted. Your teammates have your crosses on the mid. As long as Sebi's alive, there's a sniper in play, so not too much of a threat because he's not going to get all that up close and personal. A great, clean post-plant setup here from UT Chattanooga. This should be the round.
Yeah, I mean, you see these purple arrows, they're just stuck right now. Red Chase will be laying down, waiting for Sexton. Yeah, if you're Sebi, you walk away with one, maybe go for a second there as well, but I mean, there's just too many bodies that you're going to have to get through to not only go ahead and find those kills, but also get the defuse with just 20 seconds left in the round. Yes, the sniper works out if you get that first pick, but kind of what you were pointing out to earlier. If you don't walk away with that first pick and you have to retake in an odd situation where you're down lives, and with the sniper, 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose those gunfights, and they do there. So UT Chattanooga, they'll walk away with the first round win on offense. We'll see what they do to counteract the High Point Esports push here on the defensive side. Sniper's still going to stay out in the hands of Sebi, though.
Want to get a good win here offensively. Chattanooga showing that they're poised and ready to execute. Even if it takes some time off the clock, right? They didn't get a good clean break at it. No one picking a bomb here off spawn. Maybe getting aggressive to try to get a good first look. Chattanooga maybe playing more so aggressive in the mid-map. Not really edging over towards the site. Bomb's going to get scooped. Pushing towards B this go around. Chattanooga are going to have their hands full here. A 2v2 and timing between player 6 might get caught.
But he's got to be careful as he comes around the corner because you see those players from UT Chattanooga starts to snap back around, and it's Pickles who opens up the round yet again. 2 first bloods in 2 straight rounds for that player on the side of UT Chattanooga. Now Sexton now forces his way through the backside. Spawn, you see the Panthers very, I guess, passive in the way that they want to play this year, but they're stuck because now they're pinched across the map, and, you know, the 50-yard line that they had for themselves across the map is only reduced to that bottom right corner of the mini-map.
They're possessing 75% of the map. The play here is on Devilish to get aggressive and find a kill here, which he's unable to do. Slim somehow walks away with 2. Sexton sure finds 1, but it's going to be a really technical 1v4 now. Devilish not quick enough to make a play, get aggressive, and again, let them know how aggressive he was playing. Chattanooga play patient. They find their picks around the map where they need to. Of course, behind picks was having a big round. They're able to go up 2-0 here.
I just love that from Mox Cobb. You get that first blood. You realize where on the map everybody's trying to play through. And the second that they try to get that B push up and close towards it, you shut them down. They go back to their spawn side, and then they just play, not scared, but, you know, they play back because they have to. They have no information on where anybody is over by A. You pretty much know where players are going to be playing, but you're not necessarily sure of exactly where they are. You can't just force a gunfight because you're already down to 3 versus 4, but it's those little micro decisions throughout a round that are going to either make or break a search and destroy. And right now, UT Chattanooga have absolutely had themselves in the right way. Pixels at 3 in a row here. Looking for what could be another first blood here in the round. Inside of the game. Sexton on the back line will negate that onto Red Chase. Nobody was watching that flank route.
Nobody was watching mid-map is where it came through. Your player was playing at Restaurant, but again, slipped through mid-map. Feels like reminds me just of an Envoy route and standoff where, hey, if they're going to give you the middle for free, run up and take it. Able to do that, find a first blood, and now you force these players to wrap back, and you really have to hunt Sexton out before you're able to do anything. Oh my gosh, the third. It just felt like as soon as he jumped that staircase, he was going to find that. Pixels. Alrighty. Well, backstabber action, trying to do what he can here in the clutch, but again, this one feels all but over. Maybe able to get the bomb down. Gonna try to go hunting for this kill, but that was all Sexton getting through mid-map for free, finding 3 kills.
Wait, no, oh no! Devilish kills himself on the opposite side of the map. Now Pixels is alive in a 1 versus 1, and Sexton's across the map, so 3 kills to Sexton in the round. Pixels didn't even have to get one of the kills, and now can start to walk away. He's gonna play this almost perfectly inside of the corner of the restaurant. Will Sexton check the left or the right when he comes in, and Pixels wins? No! Oh, it all falls apart. How did Devilish die? I need to know. I need to know.
There's that cabinet you can hide in that I don't remember where he was in the map. Oh my. Sexton found 3 in the round. Pixels finds 3 there. That's nearly a, if not a mentally checked round. I mean, we're going to get the quick replay on this.
Oh, it's when he hopped up on the car. Oh,
yeah,
no way!
He got smashed.
Physics.
No.
He got killed by the Architects. Unfortunate. My Destiny gamers, that's a reference there. They have been nerfed recently, so apologies to it. 4 versus 4, we go back to it. High point on offense this time, and what should have been a round where Sexton got 3 before anybody on UT Chattanooga could respond with 1. All of a sudden ends up in a UT Chattanooga round win. Superior now on the back lines. 1 versus 3 this time, though. High point should be able to take it again. Should.
I guess it's never over till it's over. Definitely staying away from parking garage for this one. Time dwindling slim. Not going to be able to find these 3 kills with enough time to get the defuse. Really just frantically trying to see what he can get here, but the spread, time left. This one will go high point, and a much needed response round for them after a round like that where you're just like, man, we had that one in the bag.
Well, good to see that the physics collision doesn't cause too much of a damper on the spirits of the Panthers. What might be a 2 versus 2 round, obviously we couldn't be able to tell that necessarily, but is going to at least afford them their first round on the board here in the search and destroy. So, offense works out beautifully for the people in blue, or excuse me, the people in purple. Now back onto offense here, UT Chattanooga once again looking to get themselves another round to buffer between them and High Point University. Panthers in their defensive setups in previous rounds, how passive they like to play. This time they switch it up. They go directly up the middle of the map.
Player 2 and 3. Still not getting eyes on it. Again, it's open. Chattanooga, the fact they got punished with it by Sexton, who is once again poising to slip through Restaurant and Chandelier. The fact that it goes unchecked 2 rounds in a row, unacceptable. Simply unacceptable.
Well, it was a Pixel showcase in the first 2 rounds where he got the bloods. Ever since then, Sexton has decided, hey, I'm going to be the aggressive player. I'm going to, demonstrate my will across the map, and I'm going to take over this hotel. So, as he's done that already here in the round, another 2 go his way. The bomb down directly to the bottom right. The reload there might have been heard from Pixels, but it'll jump across the map and now live in another 1 versus 4. This time, hopefully, nobody goes ahead and commits seppuku to throw the round away.
Wrap coming into B. Feels like a matter of time before a player gets eyes on this. If anything, the bomb coming down, you have Brewing playing in the site. Gonna check out this door. Should just come down to being able to snap and see this kill out of either of the players, but that's that's the focal point for me. Is just the mid map back-to-back rounds in that situation have gone unchecked out of Chattanooga, and now you have 2 rounds on the board and it's a 1-round game.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up too, because like, again, like, you know, they make that adjustment from the round previous. Like, all right, Sexton was able to get up there throughout the middle map first. That was cool, but he was the only one that really made that push. You saw 3 arrows go immediately up the middle of the map that time around for high point. So that's a really good adjustment out of them. Something that is very quick thinking and on their feet like. So that's something that you love to see out of a team that was down in an 0-3 fashion. Now 2 straight rounds going back to an offense where they won their first of 2. So where Chattanooga really starts to need to make this adjustment. They'll do exactly the same there, though. Up 3 in middle. Devilish won't peek out around the corner just yet. This bomb's still undecided where it wants to go. They're just trying to feel out the round here, and it's Sexton, who now opens with his 3rd first blood of the game.
Speaking of feeling out the round, Sexton feeling himself here at 8-3. As you said, imposing his will around the map. This B site all but cleared out entirely. Of course, the site, not exactly, but again, you have the real estate purchased to be able to make more moves. Red Chase trying to do what he can at couches to maybe cut a couple players down, but this bomb still over here at the A site, pinched in. Last 2 players have backed up to B. The nade connects. Beautiful coordination out of high point here. What more can they find?
I'm not sure if I love that challenge from Sexton, but yes, you have the hot hand, so it's a heat check kind of moment there. Slim cuts him down. Still 3 versus 2. Advantage to high point in terms of the life count. Bomb going down over at this A site. 45 seconds going to be the restrictive timer on UT Chattanooga to wrap back over towards the site. Slim and Superior trying to get themselves back and towards the site. Both of them are playing around each other. Opportunity for trades is there. Starting to make their way throughout the middle of the map. Spotted out Sebi. Will he be able to fall? Or the rest of the High Point Esports roster can get back to help.
Both players together. Backing Sebi all the way off, but that allows Sebi to repinch this just with the route he's running. So you have to work towards this bomb. Again, I think Sebi's gonna get 2 free kills in the back here. There's one. There's the second. Either way, that kill should have been cleaned up. And that's 3 straight rounds for high point. That simply comes off of making adjustments. That is just so heads up and aware of High Point University. They made the adjustments to counter what Chattanooga was doing, and now they find themselves right back in this S&D.
That fake wrap through spawn was picture perfect there out of Sebi. Go back to another round. I mean, it feels like it's been 4 straight rounds for High Point in a general sense, but of course, only on paper we see that it's 3-3. MoxCon look very stagnant on the map. You know, if Pixels isn't opening up the round with the first blood, they're not winning any of these rounds specifically. So that's where it has to come through. Everybody else needs to start turning it up. Besides Pixels, you know, everybody else basically has exactly what Pixels has, and now it's Sebi who opens things up. Yes, you're going to try and plant this bomb, but Sebi's going to toss another nade across the map. He's on 5 in a row. Now the conversation starts, can we get streaks for High Point? And Superior's last alive in another 1 versus 4. Shut down immediately. Flawless round there on defense from High Point.
I mean, mid-map, free. Flank, free. I'm not sure what Chattanooga's plan there was. If you were not picking up one of the more basic open cuts of the map, what are you expecting to happen? And props to High Point for 3 players running it up the gut again. They're catching Chattanooga somehow still off guard. That is their 3rd defensive attempt with 1 to 3 players running through the middle of the map. No one home for Chattanooga. Your island player loses their gunfight. That immediately opens up the flank. It's just a breakdown from Chattanooga that we're seeing. 4 straight rounds for High Point Esports, taking what the game's giving them.
Here we go. Red Chase at the restaurant right outside towards the middle of the map will finally get a first blood for Chattanooga. MoxCon will have their first advantage in the search and destroy since round number 3. Sexton starting to make his way forward. Pixels is going to be there. Passive on the defensive side this time works out well. High Point trying to make their mark on the round here, still trying to at least even things out or get it to a closer, manageable margin. So far, it just has not worked out for them, forcing the backside of their map, and they don't realize they have everybody now starting to trap them. But that kill on the Superior might be crucial for the rest of the round. They have a chance to start working this back over towards A.
Unless these Chattanooga players split, you might be able to isolate these gunfights. Both players split as well for High Point, but Red Chase, head on a swivel, has an eye that this is where Devilish is pushing through, and maybe as you start to group up if you're Chattanooga, you eliminate this possibility, but you're really just leaving up to Brewing to try to find one of these gunfights on these players. Crossing, gets eyes on him on catwalk, isn't able to get the kill. The Vaznev dealing a bit of damage and then some. Devilish left in a 1v3. Can't connect on the shots, and that should be the clearance once these players collapse.
Yeah, hard gunfight to take there onto Red Chase, but, you know, of course, across the map, you're waiting for your teammate maybe to be able to make a route onto Red Chase. You try to isolate that gunfight in the back line, prove as a distraction for your teammate to come and clean it up, but you're not able to get that to go your way. So what could have maybe turned into a 2 versus 2 turned into a nice UT Chattanooga comeback round win there. We're tied back up at 4 apiece now here in the Search and Destroy. Head-to-head we go, and in these last few rounds of the Search and Destroy, first to 2, we'll take the S&D from here on out. If it's Chattanooga, we'll tie a tied series at 1 apiece. If it's the Panthers, well, they'll be up 2-0 going to Matt Point in the control.
Pixels is 8-4, Sexton 9-5, where Pixels had a hot hand in the early goings. It has now been Sexton from here on out with Sebi doing his thing as well. All 4 hit towards B. More of a flatline push at a high point, thinking surely we can't get mid-map for free, but man, it is still there for him.
If Red Chase wouldn't have been there with Superior to get that trade, this round would have been completely over. Sexton pops a 2-piece there, and it's a GG. Good news, it doesn't happen. So 3 versus 3 live, still even. 45 seconds now, the restrictive timer yet again. Brewing inside of Wine, trying to get around into the corner. Doesn't realize that there's one behind inside of the restaurant, but you're going to have to play this a bit quicker here if you are High Point, if you want this to come through. Reinforcements are here. This is where the break starts to come through. Brewing around the corner, still playing passively, but the gunfight has to come in here because Pixels is right there. Who's going to be able to win the gunfight? Brewing, not going to win it, but it's a sniper there from Sebi. 2 versus 2, 20 seconds left, and now Sebi will hop around the corner with the pistol. Going to be able to win the one-on-one. Now it's a 1 versus 2 inside of the bomb site, and you have to make sure that Red Chase can't walk away with both kills. He finds the first, 10 seconds, second one, snaking around the corner, and Red Chase will walk away with a second kill there as well. The kitchen is his. He's cooking today. 5-4, 1 round away from the Search and Destroy going to UT.
Way to play awareness of the clock. 11 seconds left. Do-si-do's just enough to eat time. Even if you lost that gunfight, I'm not sure you would have had enough time to get back to the bomb. A beautiful rally back coming in from Chattanooga here in this late game to put themselves at Matt Point to draw the series up 1-1, as you said. Red Chase coming alive here. High Point Esports, just an unfortunate execution. You couldn't sniff out Red Chase on the bomb site. You hopped the bomb and paid dearly for it.
Must-win round. Sexton's going to go straight over towards the point as well. He's got multiple players flying in from the side of High Point Esports. Stick going to be there, though. Sebi will fall. 3 versus 3. Didn't even try to push the rest of the way up the map. 40 seconds left. Chattanooga shot in the back. It's Devilish who walks away with a kill on the Slim and escapes with his life with 1 HP. He gets down to below, and nobody's there for a trade.
They're chasing him. They have no clue where he is. Red Chase also has to clear out so much of this. Again, because he gets away, you don't get that clear. That's not a 2v2. You have so much to clear out. No assurance around the site as to where any of these players could be. Pixel trying to snap and do what he can. Red Chase connects with a grenade at 1v2.
I mean, you have to clear out the left and the right side of both of the bottom bedrooms. As Red Chase only has 14 seconds to do it, the other player can just run across the map if they need be, and the head glitch there down below will force a round 11 High Point on a high-flying, aggressive offense. Will force the hand of the opposition to go to that oh-so-crucial final round.
Welcome to CCL Night 1, a 250 to 239 hard point, a round 11 in map number 2. I mean, there couldn't be any better welcoming back.
I think you should have best yourself there. But I mean, really, both games where UT Chattanooga, at least at the midpoint, like seemed to have like substantial leads, and High Point has just been able to have that ice in their veins, that clutch gene towards the end of the game to be like, hey, we're going to make this comeback and you're going to like it. Either way, to the offensive side here, Pixels has been so good for UT throughout the entirety of this game so far. Another first blood in this round would be asking a lot. To get to that double-digit mark and help your team to a victory to tie the series up at 1 apiece will be the cherry on top.
Just with how timid Chattanooga is playing. A couple players watching mid-map because that has been their absolute pain point. Everyone for High Point playing the outer lanes. Maybe watching the cross here and there. Sebi perhaps could have a sniper trying to watch this A site, but as this clock ticks, it only favors High Point before Chattanooga look to make a move. No first bloods have rang out yet. Who's going to give up the first mistake? There goes Sebi.
Whoa. It feels like the first round, but he's given away that he has the sniper out now, and Slim can back off. But this should basically, I mean, you should give up the A site. You shouldn't be peeking this. Oh, he had to connect with that second one. Just a little off to the left as he was hopping up and mantling over it. But now it's Red Chase here. Through the back line. trying to slip on in to take out the Panthers from the backside, but Sexton's trying to play spoiler here in the restaurant. Doesn't know that two are going to be there. He gets cut down from Superior on the back line, so now all of a sudden, Red Chase is in a great spot to cut the both players on the rotation back over towards his A site, and now it's Red Chase who finds the first. Devilish alive in a 1 versus 2. Bomb going to go down. 45 seconds. No, both players have to be in the restaurant.
Doesn't have any daddy to work with, so just has to really bust in here and try to see what he can find. No trophy in here as well, so the stun's able to connect, has an idea someone's here, but again, the player laying down and Slim, can he find he gets the kill.
He walks away with 6 HP, 30 seconds left. That's an aggressive challenge in towards the doorway. I don't know if I liked it or not. You had so much time to work with there in a 1 versus 1. Yes, the element of surprise might have caught him off guard, but that time it was the UT Chattanooga roster who was lurking, waiting, and inside of the kitchen. That's twice that a battle has come down towards the end inside, and twice that Mox had have walked away with it. 6-5 in the round 11. UT Chattanooga will walk away with a search and destroy win. We're tied at 1 apiece in this first CCL series.
I think that tunnel vision, that adrenaline kind of gets to you there. You just start flying around. Just an unlucky challenge and not able to take. You think you're getting the better timing, but again, a little more composure for Chattanooga in that 1v1 to take it. Tied up 1-1 here in a series that could hardly be playing closer. It was finally Chattanooga there that had enough time to make the adjustment right and search and destroy given those round-around breaks. Of course, you get maybe a second to kind of recompose yourself there when they needed to. I mean, we were sitting at, 4-4 at one point, and then again for Chattanooga, they had to make a stand, they had to make adjustments. That's 4 straight out of High Point to get to that point. They only went 4 for 1 there in the mid portion, make the adjustment they need to bounce and rally back, execute well over at B, and again trade out much better. That's also a big point to make, but I have no clue what's going on after this now. I really don't. We're guaranteed 4, I know that.
Yeah, we're guaranteed 4, and we're guaranteed to go back to Hotel one more time for the controls. So if you like Hotel, well, please stick around. We've got plenty more. We'll check out the replay now. Once again, I mean, it was really as close as you could call it all the way through. Sebi had some great, memorable rounds within there, but really I think the big storyline coming out of the Search and Destroy is going to be Pixels and how he was able to dominate those early portions of the rounds and really give the Mox COD roster that upper hand advantage throughout the most of the Search.
To rip the first 3 rounds off straight definitely gives you a leg up in the S&D. High Point having to battle back the entire time, never getting an easy advantage. Push came to shove. Again, Red Chase on that flank to cut down those 2 players, wrapping back when the call came into B. I think that's what really sealed the deal for him. Left it into a 1v2, though you made it close. You were Devilish, not quite able to pull it off there at the end. Just I say, just a roller coaster of a search and destroy, I'll tell you that.
No, it absolutely was, and there was points in that game where I'm like, okay, well, High Point, where you at, guys? we are 3 rounds into the Search and Destroy, and we still haven't had any sort of life breathed into the game. And then all of a sudden, it was like, okay, we're gonna win 4 straight, even after losing the abominable technical 1 versus. I'm not even gonna call it a 1 versus 4. It was a technical 1 before, but it was more on the faults of what the Panthers were doing opposed to the opposite side. So another big moment right here, though. Red Chase that 1 versus 2 inside of the kitchen. It was oh so pretty. Then, of course, High Point came back, leveled the playing field here in that round at number 10. But really, obviously, things turned up in that round 11 when Red Chase was able to find that first kill, forces the 1 versus 2 back over toward the site, and the Devilish. You had an opportunity, man, and I'll keep saying it. You just can't go in without regenerating back to 100.
Yeah, and seeing that he had dug behind the counter, like you said, you had the time to play for that. Easier said than done, of course, sitting up here on the desk. Either way, a grueler of a series we have going on through the first 2 maps.
I mean, you just look at the scoreboard, too. I mean, High Point, they walked away with the majority of the kills inside of that S&D and just didn't walk away with the amount of rounds necessary to take it and win it. So, I mean, there's really not much else to say except, yeah, you win your first blood. You most likely are going to win the round, but, the Search and Destroy can only go so many ways. So, regardless of that fact, another Hotel going to be coming up after the break. As I already said beforehand, if you like Hotel, well, you're not going to want to go far. We're going to step aside, take a quick break. When we come back, at least guaranteed 4 maps. So, got 2 more left in the bank. My name is Cormiel. With me is Cash. We'll be back. It's been about as close a series as you could ask for here to start things off for the next CCL season. High Point Yeah, you fall short in the search and destroy, but a heroic map number 1 performance kind of overshadows that in the grand scheme of things. But now we go back to the hotel for the 3rd straight time in the series. The last time, though, that we'll be going here. But 4 Control plays a lot differently than the hardpoint search and destroy, respectively. But I think talking about UT Chattanooga a little bit more in depth here is kind of the right play, because we really didn't give them the necessary highlight that we were giving Highpoint earlier on the series. We kind of ran out of time before we got into map 1. But again, we highlighted at the top of the search and destroy. Losing Click this season, it does a lot for, kind of the overall complexion of this team, because one, you lose, again, that aggressive, high-flying player. He was a clutch player. He could do a lot of things on the map when it came to dirty work, when it just came to the overall slaying. He was just good. And when you lose a solid player like that, it disrupts the entire flow of your roster, and you kind of lose a big semblance of your identity.
Yeah, and speaking of identity, I love that you bring that up, because now you're just trying to find yourselves again. Sure, you have Red Chase, coming back and rallying the troops that you have this year. You've already seen resilience out of him in this series alone, so it's just something where you need to find your identity under a few new players who is willing to fill those big shoes, right? You're not going to have another Click, but you can have someone that can bring that level of productivity. UT Chattanooga showing that off here, and as we dive into a respawn, again, what can they continue to do in this series where they've already been tested?
Superior will open things up here in the round, but it's Highpoint who immediately respond over towards that A zone. They're working towards that first tick of progress, and you can see those yellow arrows coming off of the backside spawn on the right side of your mini-map of UT Chattanooga, trying to get back over towards this A point. Question now becomes, how many lives do you want to throw at this point? And if you can get this first kill and then maybe fly over towards Kitchen, you might be able to walk away with a second. It's the fist that goes ahead, and it gets handy for Red Chase, and a Sebi will fall. That's going to allow UT Chattanooga to really push back over towards this point, but it's still 3 arrows there from Highpoint. We're going to be trying to control this A site. That second tick of progress about to come in. Red Chase can't walk away with a gunfight, and it's Sebi who's there on the refrag.
1 life advantage. Progress bar going up for both, only for a moment. Slim's able to clean that up. You're going to give up A as its closure comes in. 2:15 or so on the clock. Highpoint to work over here and break down this Chattanooga defense. Again, a great map spread from them. These next gunfights are going to be telling us 3 players look to bully through Chandelier. Pixel will have his handfuls in a moment. Sexton's able to clean it up with the tack. Now pushing through the back. Everyone's kind of got to shift and shuffle. Avert their eyes to other lanes. This push coming through cleanly for Highpoint Esports to start.
I like this a lot. You distract over towards the back lines. You try to get in the spawn side of defense, and then you start pushing your way through the middle of the your spawn side. That's great stuff out of the Panthers, and if they can execute and commit to this, it might just pan out extremely well for them. Sebi 2 and 3 here. Not a great start to the control, but it's still very early on. Nothing to be found just yet. Still a minute 35 to work with. First push now coming from Highpoint.
Check left, check right. Is able to get the kill there. Sexton combines for another. That's going to be 3, so this is where you fly and stack. You have 1 player left. Now you know he's playing Secret Slim. You have to jump out and chow that, and you do. A 3-man stack going to be coming in here. Make that all 4 these players, a Sexton comes off spawn. Progress bar going to quickly fill. Chattanooga, you gotta find footing quickly. Already 2 ticks in.
I mean, they're flying all the way back over towards the point, so it's not like the zone is going to be completely controlled before Chattanooga can get on back to it, but that's a 2-to-1 trade there, now a 3-to-1, and everybody's down on the side of this UT Chattanooga roster, but Sexton's still here, the last one in. Red Chase from the back line. Spots him all the way from the buttocks. The back box. Gotta stop them from now, but here comes the mid-map push. Same thing we saw on the search and destroy. Superior going to be able to find the first on a Devilish. Pixels there as well. Another 2-to-1 trade. This time it's UT Chattanooga who walk away with the business. Still a minute left. Only a tick of progress needed on B.
That's what Chattanooga needed to find, was a clean kill feed. Whenever you get a 4 down, if you're Highpoint off spawn, you just keep applying pressure. Chattanooga have to fly at the zone. Chattanooga are able to get their own 4 down. Take a breath, find form once again, and now have to hold on for 50 more seconds, but kills that they so desperately needed. Unfortunately, you have to hold on for 45 more seconds, and you only need 1 point if you're Highpoint Esports. 1-4 down. This one will be over. What can you find here, Sebi, through the back lines?
Slim who finds the first engagement. On to Sexton. That first initial gunfight aggressive player going to fall. However, it's Sebi. Takes advantage of his teammate who is peeking over from the opposite side. He's able to clean up a player from UT all the way towards the back. Brewing snaps down below. Slim will fall after a previous engagement. 10 versus 10. 20 seconds left. Brewing will go ahead and stop the time. Knows a player's going to be in towards the top of the bedroom, but Superior will get the good timing as he peeks around the corner. Second, we're going to challenge through the doorway, and Superior will clean up yet another in a row. That's 4 straight here from UT Chattanooga, and now they can start pushing out the back lines. With only 10 seconds left, it's become a foot race for the offensive team to get back over towards B. Will they be able to get there? So far, the telltale sign is no, but there's still 5 seconds to be played out here in the rest of the round. Red Chase with 2. Pixels had found 1 beforehand, but it's Red Chase, the playoff man himself, who finds the last 3 in the first round. UT Chattanooga, they'll take themselves the first advantage early on.
You put so much emphasis for High Point on flanking through the back. You didn't take care of the players like Superior playing top bedroom. So when he fell, then you had to fly forward. You weren't able to get the good timing. Superior in the top tier position playing bedroom. From there, had to fly to, as you said, with the clock dwindling down. A great hold from them. They had to hold for well over 60 to nearly 90 seconds. Just this last tick even. Great opening round out of them. Red Chase sitting at double positive through the first round with a third of the kills in that round. And now for High Point Esports, what can you do in your setup? Off the opening break, Chattanooga. They're looking to split towards this B site.
That song's going to be popped early on here in the round. Trying to fly on out. Sexton, aware of the push coming from UT Chattanooga all the way over towards this B zone. First kill on the refrag. My Point Esports going to go in the hands of Brewing. 3-1 trade early on in the round. Only one life taken off the board for UT Chattanooga as Pixel starts to make his way up the map. Knows the other one is weak over towards the bar. Doorway will walk away with another kill, and he gets in towards the back line for free. But it's Sebi who's all the way up in towards the top, almost able to take Pixels down as well. But it's Brewing who is there for an immediate trade. However, it's 2 ticks of progress over at the B zone that have already come through, and Chattanooga have now bounced their way back over towards this A site in a beautiful ping-pong maneuver that splits the defense.
Scary now for this High Point defense, because you're going to have 2 minutes to hold with just 1 tick being needed. Chattanooga going to try to find a 4 down here. We'll see how quickly they try to work across, or if they formulate something a bit slower pace. They have the time to really play with it and decide whatever they want to. Looks like they're going to be working to the back lines. Everyone's stacked up for High Point in bedroom and in the area. Only player here is going to be Sexton. He gets the call out that, hey, a few people are home. What damage can he do? Deals damage into a few. Only able to find 1 for now. Is able to get the second now. If you let him tee off a few more, man, he could single-handedly wreck this line.
I thought Sexton finds the third there on a Superior, but he survives with 39 HP and a teammate still alive in the back lines. 2 advantage in terms of the lives to UT Chattanooga. Backline spawn, not secured here for High Point Esports, but it's Sexton who's there with the Scar. Not able to find the shots on the Red Chase, so win the AR engagement there and give UT another 4-3 advantage back over towards this B zone. Again, only 1 tick of progress needed back on this B site. As Pixels looks to make his way on the flank up and towards the bottom of the bedroom. It'll be the first and only push that UT need.
The players were just waiting in the back line for what your teammates can find in and around the bedroom. That was going to be the call for them to try to push in, but High Point, they take care of it. They understand it was a battle on 2 fronts, and they look to win it now. Just 1 player left in your back lines, and Superior isn't able to get that. So, again, this push completely thwarted. 60 seconds left for you to hold. Lives are tied. Chattanooga, they're knocking on the door once again, putting emphasis on wrapping through mid and wrapping through the back. This is a High Point defense, though. They're holding on.
And I mean, like 2 minutes seems like a lot of time, but realistically it's not, especially when you're on offense, because you have to make every use possible that you can of those 60 seconds to afford yourself some great time. However, it's already a 4-down push here. High Point only have player number 3 and Sebi in the back lines. It's a foot race back over toward the point, and it's not going to matter. UT Chattanooga, you know, the cash the break you were talking about beforehand. All you need is a couple players down and then to stack the point. Exactly what they do to take advantage of that round.
They didn't even do the 4 down. Of course, they just simply had the bodies there to say, hey, it's 1 take, just hop it. There's no way Sebi's going to be able to line up 3 of us, you know, whoever the last player was, and they do just that to close it out. Now, get all of the ticks, get a round win on the board. Now sitting at match point here for Chattanooga. A very quick control out of them. Those played close for a moment. This is one that's been all UT from start to, well, about to finish here.
Okay, good. Able to hop up on the car that time without getting killed by physics. First kill and engagement. Gonna go to High Point, but it's an immediate trade back to the opposite. 15 seconds ticked off the clock already. You can see High Point looking to do what UT Chattanooga did in the previous round. An aggressive hit over towards B. They want to start the round off hot, and they've done that so far. 1-3 trade, but there's really nobody else here just in time to get back over towards B. And as soon as I say that, of course, Sebi walks away with a kill, and it's now on 5 in a row. 1 more kill here. Streaks could be on the table. That opens a slew of new possibilities for the Panthers.
This push is hard because you don't have anyone watching the mid cross, so they're going to get this pinch developed for free unless Sexton can get into play in time. But again, it's 3 for 1. Sexton really the only one left here to make anything happen. You don't even get to take a progress to show for it. A very tough, and you kind of just threw at the kitchen sink what you could. Tried to work with anything you had available, and it didn't stick. Chattanooga now make this transition back to A. And the 2-2 split they have at either site. Not a spawn trap, but something High Point definitely has to try to find a way to work through is this clock only starting to dwindle.
30 seconds not looking good here. Those 2 kills sure are. 16 and 8 here from Sebi. Person you'd love to kind of step their way up from the Panthers. 5 and 15, that's devilish. Didn't have a great hard point either, so maybe needs to step it up just a bit in the respawns overall, going to at least a guaranteed map number 4 after this. Red Chase around the corner. That's just a hard gunfight to win. But you win it anyways. Peaker advantage reigns supreme. Minute and 30 seconds. A site captured. Now it's all about getting those last couple of ticks of progress on B, or maybe trying to go the different route. Get everybody of those 21 lives at UT Chattanooga all the way to nothing.
70 seconds left. Very limited time to work through and find these kills. Again, Devilish has to work quickly through bedroom to find these kills. He's able to find one. Now going to dance around, see if anyone's on the chase. I don't know if he'll turn around and check, and is able to, but on the drop shot, Pixels connects. Again, Red Chase with another. You're not able to have bedroom control on your offensive attempts. This is where High Point has continually struggled. Their 2 offensive rounds. Chattanooga making them pay dearly for it, and Pixels on a 7 spree. I mean, this one, woof. With them shooting like that and him having a streak, I mean, this one should be over, barring High Point going berserk here.
I mean, even if you go berserk and you find, 4-3-4 to get, back over towards that point and start stacking it, you have that streak to work with now on UT Chattanooga. That's all you were working for if you're Pixels. Obviously, yes, getting to 20 kills is great, but when you have that utility in the back pocket, that just gives you such a good bubble, such a good gap to get back over towards it, and it's just a safety net that you need, especially if Superior falls here in a great position. Looks up towards the top, not spotted anything just yet, but he walks away with the kill there on the Brewing. Trade immediately. Sexton is there, but it's Red Chase once again on a big flank that could spoil the party here for the Panthers in the control. Almost didn't walk away with a kill there. Reloads the Vaznev. Slim pops for another. Brewing there for a trade. The clock has stopped, and the first tick of progress here over on the B zone has been completed. Devilish said he needed to step up. Since that point, he's been 4-1 here in the control, and now that's the second tick of progress. Now the third stack comes in. UT Chattanooga trying to fight from their spawn side. Nobody is here to make this stop happen, and all of a sudden, a round that was so advantageous for them flips the opposite way. And the Panthers, once again, breathe life into a map they have no business winning.
Yeah, I think that's about the best way to close it out. I said this one should be over, barring, High Point going berserk, and well, they did go berserk, even with the streak. Ate it, kept the progress bar going, kept the time stopped, as you had pointed out, and did the only option they had to win that round. Good on them. Sexton heating up here, too. Everyone maybe getting a little bit warmer here. Devilish starting to turn things around at the tail end of the round, finding some critical kills. You still have to win 2 more consecutively. Pull off this control, but hey, that's a good rally back to get things going.
Aggressive over towards B, the last offensive attempt this time. Over towards A and inside of the restaurant. Sevi, stunned, naded, all the way down to 23 HP, and Superior will come in, deal the final blow. And that'll be UT Chattanooga, who have the entirety of the restaurant for free. You have to look for Sexton, though, trying to make a flank throughout the middle of the map. Nothing off the spawn side for UT Chattanooga. Everybody in towards the point. And now this is where we can start talking about the last time over on offense, where they got back over towards B and were able to close things out after getting it oh so close and working with 2 full minutes. This time it's the exact same thing. However, you don't have those initial 2 ticks on B to work with.
Everyone working to the back again. And just an island player here to take care of that. Everyone else putting their focus on bedroom. Chattanooga taking their time, spreading throughout the map. Trying to isolate some of these gunfights. Superior knows that someone's going to have to be up here to make this push that much easier. You have player 6 and Red Chase just waiting in the back, maybe trying to catch good timing on Brewing if he falls asleep watching this angle. Ultimately just waiting to see what damage his teammates can do from the front.
I mean, really, this round isn't going to come down, at least so seems, to the life advantage at the moment. It's going to come down to how much time you have left to make that push over towards that B zone and how many ticks of progress you can really go ahead and afford yourselves. Because if High Point Esports are able to force us to a 5th round, I'm not confident enough to say that Chattanooga wins it. So, Slim, the first one here, spotted out immediately after the fact. And you know you have Brewing in your back line now trying to reflank the flank that you're trying to hit through the defensive spawn side. You got 2 players here and start making this way out. You need the players that are coming off the spawn on this offensive side to get up in towards the top of the hotel bedroom and maybe find the player down below as well. That's going to give you free reign on the B zone.
Time stop trades back and forth for now. You have players on it, as you had said. Sexton from the top. Gonna connect for one. That'll clear everyone off the point. Now, how quickly can you find for him with Chattanooga running up the gut again? Another player here. Sebi able to take care of it. 6 seconds left to hold. High Point trying to take care of things, and as long as Sebi's alive in bottom bedroom, I'm thinking High Point are going to be doing all right. It's another route again, as Sebi finds 3 in a row. 45 seconds left.
All right, well, GA the best, Nev. I think that conversation is dead and gone. Regardless of the fact, though, hipfire shot directly under the head. Yes, Superior is weak. Regardless of the fact, though, he still falls. Red Chase, backline. Another flank comes through on the offensive side. How much time are you going to waste here? 30 seconds left in the round. Red Chase just bobbing, weaving, letting everybody else try to get back on over towards him. Has a player in from behind him. He stops the clock at 25 seconds, but it's Sexton in the middle of the map, who in the way of Headshot is able to cut down Red Chase from that B zone. And now Slim from the top lines is able to find one with the help of Superior as well. 2 players now make it 3, stacking the zone, trying to get the second tick of progress here at B, trying to prohibit High Point from forcing a 5th round in the control, and they'll do just that to take a 2-1 commanding lead in the series. They've won back-to-back maps here on Hotel, and now we're at match point going into map 4, a hard point to decide the series.
I was gonna say for Chattanooga, that whole round I feel like they were poking and prodding, maybe spending too much time trying to find a soft spot as individuals. They hadn't made a decisive push there at the tail end when time was ticking. They finally get one done and are able to close it out. Like you said, a commanding 2-1 lead, a 3-1 victory there. Hardpoint tried to make a stand, but when Chattanooga pieced it together as a squad, it's a hard force to stop. Now we switch gears and go to an Embassy, so we downscale things a bit, but as far as the fundamentals of the map plays, you think to, a Hotel and an Embassy, you scale it down, but you still have that diagonal rotation pattern, so the flow of things stays the same to an extent. One that, again, with how close the last one finished, who's going to be a little more technically sound?
Yeah, and that's a good shit as well. Like, it's a little bit more difficult to adjust your playstyle to an Embassy, yes. But I think what I've seen out of both of these teams, at least so far, within the Respawn specifically, there were like 2 people on each team that love to just take these like ratty little flank routes that can just open up big opportunities and big lanes for rotations and whatnot. So I don't think that necessarily is going to be a big problem on an Embassy. I kind of want to know who's going to be that AR that really just takes over the game.
Brewing was having a fairly solid control, at least as good as you could, for being the AR putting up numbers. Yeah, like you said, we know the subs that are running around doing things, and again, on the other side, you have Slim, Superior, both having themselves a series as well. So I think the ARs are a good stance and a good point to want to look at even on a smaller map, but where you have those long cuts, fighting for scrap time and knowing you're going to be one soaking kind of the tail end of those hills. Definitely one to keep an eye on here. And again, if map 1 was any indication, who's willing to go biggest and baddest at the end, no lead is going to be safe on Embassy either.
Yeah, absolutely not. Just kind of finishing up thoughts on map number 3. Again, UT Chattanooga looked really good all the way through. Yeah, that one round that High Point won, it kind of feels like an anomaly round in a sense. And not to say that they didn't do a great job inside of that round to really clean things up towards the end and just stack that point over towards B. But it did feel a little lackluster because, UT Chattanooga, they were sitting on the outside looking in. I just don't think they thought that 3 people were stacking the point. They felt like they just had more time, and they didn't. And they didn't make the play back over towards the zone. Other than that, though, it probably could have been a 3-0 closeout.
It absolutely could have. And again, you can kind of win those timings. It fares for the offense. If, hey, all the bodies are close, jump on it, and suddenly that progress bar is moving quicker than you realize. So a well-executed round out of High Point to not take away from that. But for Chattanooga, end up giving up 1. And you're going into this hard point. I think the focus of it, at least for the side of the Mox COD team, is going to be, hey, we need to find a way to finish strong. They lost a little bit of gas there after a good opening on the hard point. They lost a little bit of gas after the first 3 rounds of the S&D. Sure, they come out, start strong, finish strong. In this one, can you string it together for an even faster pace respawn in hard point?
Taking a look back at both of the teams, I mean, once again, Sebi, you look to the rest of the team, 2, 3. It almost looks like a glitch on the scoreboard, and hell, it might as well could be. But 22 and 16, 19 untraded kills. Yeah, I believe that's a glitch. But regardless of the fact, it's still a little bit crazy to think about. But again, Sebi has been kind of that clear-cut leader for High Point so far throughout the series. Like, he's been in the right moments, right places at the right times, but he's getting 2, 3 pieces at multiple points, and, like, that's what you need out of a team, that doesn't really have its clear-cut, defined, that one guy that you're like, hey, we need you to pop off in this moment. That's what Sebi is, and if he can continue that throughout the rest of the year, pairing that with Sexton, who's also kind of that guy as well, like Sexton, for what it's worth, has it maybe not MVP status when we talk about the overall like CCL hierarchy, but like he brings a certain je ne sais quoi to this team that truly just brings them to a different level. You can't really count out this team when Sexton's involved. They're always going to be a late season kind of fringe playoff team. Like, are they going to be able to walk into this and maybe steal a series off of a really good team? Or are they going to kind of falter at the last moment and not really be able to put their best foot forward? I just think back to the last time these two teams played up against each other, Sexton didn't have that great of an outing, and it was a 3-0 to UT Chattanooga. Because of that reason, now obviously, again, we have clicked in that conversation. Everything changes when you bring him into the equation. But regardless, when you have Sexton struggling and really the entire team not being able to play at their strengths, the respawns last time through in Vanguard did not play close at all. It was only the search and destroy, and this whole series has played close, barring, of course, that control there towards the end of it. So, as mentioned beforehand, Embassy is where we're going to be going for map number 4. If we want to see a final map 5 here, of course, the Panthers of High Point University are going to have to take this Embassy hard point for themselves. And if it's anything like we saw on map number 1, it's going to be a toss-up until, last 2-3 hills.
It most definitely will be. I think Brewing, again, is going to be very telling of that. Still did, I did the math quickly, 2,700 damage, so at least dealt more damage than Sebi was able to do. Didn't have a flashy scoreline, but again, your AR players dealing damage is going to give you a window for your subs to just go in, clean up quick, easy kills. Sebi popping 3 pieces constantly is always going to be a concern for this Chattanooga squad, and a respawn, and at least to piggyback off that Sexton point, right? What he's been able to do here, at least in the series that we're seeing, kind of more of an objective role, was able to soak up 2 minutes of hill time there in that one. Of course, Sebi being maybe that more, slang type sub player, if Sexton settling into this objective heavy role, it did suit them, right? It helped give them the win. And what he's able to do, he still was able to go positive, plus or minus a few kills, and find a couple minutes in the hill. Again, that's something that you're looking to in a backbone player to really say, like, hey, I'm not just going to say when you do these things, I'm going to go out and show you how it's done and what we need to do. So again, I don't have a doubt in my mind that High Point can rally back here and force it to a map 5. But again, Mox COD are really starting to string things together. You have a dominant map 3 the way they do. You're going to have to make a statement, get some good holds early if you're High Point.
Sometimes you just got to let somebody run around with a sub, walk away with whatever they can find. Pixels up the staircase, won't be able to get that trade immediately after the fact. High Point, first team inside of the hill, in towards the middle of the scrappy P1. Pixels will stay alive. UT Chattanooga will look from the outside in. Get their way back in towards this middle hard point, bring up from the top, and try and look for Red Chase.
Able to connect for 3 in a row. Trying to see what more he can do. Isn't able to get the kill on Superior, but Slim would have been quick on the trade regardless. High Point University with technical control of spawns. We'll see what this next sequence of kills does while P1 still active. Spawns very much can be influenced. Slim playing this top bathroom position, gonna apply pressure on the players looking P2, and now as you have everyone else wrapping through the back, they're able to tie this up and, again, putting pressure at this P2 early.
There's just so much verticality you have to fight against, especially if you're the subs trying to run throughout the middle of the map. Having to take those big gunfights against ARs in the top lanes, inside of the windows and whatnot, especially over towards the backside as well. Like, you have to keep yourselves calm, tight-knit inside of these tight buildings, or else you're going to get cut down relatively easily, and that's what we've seen, at least through these first couple of hard points so far. 15 seconds ticked off of P2 here. Sebi going to be able to find one. Sexton just laying down inside of the hill, to kind of to piggyback off Cash's point that we made before coming into this map, allowing, a guy like Sebi to be out, frag out throughout the map. If you want to take that objective role, you can, but he's so good at playing that, which is why it's the big difference maker.
Absolutely the case. Sebi on 4 now. A couple more kills, and you could find yourself streaks in this one. The team streaking as well, at least able to find 6 or 8 in a row. So a great P2 hold out of them. We said they need to come out early. Throw a big hit at Chattanooga to show that, hey, that control didn't phase us one bit. Now they have a bit of a buffer to break into P3. Chattanooga want to look to respond with a big hold here, and what better hell to do it.
Yeah, it can be really difficult to break back in towards P2, so this is really UT Chattanooga's first moment to shine inside of this hard point, besides that latter half of P1. The Sexton walks up and behind one, snaps to Red Chase up top as well. That's just the break that High Point are going to continuously have for them if you allow your back lines to get flooded with multiple purple players. And as Sebi, who's on 6 in a row, already has streaks, this is such a big map for streaks because of how open it can be on some of these hills.
Still 35 seconds you're able to walk away with. I mean, you could be sitting at 115, almost 120 points at the tail end of things. Again, a 100-point lead. I get the stunner we said they need to come out and put on. So far doing that, and I think the biggest talking point, you hate to shine light on it, but Red Chase at 0-6, that is absolutely going to be something that Chattanooga are feeling with the scoreline difference.
At least he's got hill time, so, not necessarily having his biggest impact early on inside of the game, but you know, he's one of those players where like you don't expect him to not turn up at some point in the game. So it's like, yeah, slow start, sure, but how do you kind of combat that on the opposite side later on in the game? And well, there it is, second kill already for 3-1 trade, excuse me, for UT Chattanooga in the life count advantage for themselves. Top of P4, they're going to have for themselves here and towards the bottom of the office. This Pixels just hides. And High Point Esports look to go ahead and set up their sarcophagus, push here in towards the hill. You've got a couple players up top, but now through the back lines. Red Chase will be the first one to fall here in towards the point, and everybody else in purple looking to go ahead and flood on in. That's a beautiful break in from High Point Esports. They look very cool, calm, and collected here in map 4.
A well-composed, well-executed pinch play from a couple different points, and Ia bully out. And now you have, once again, 30 seconds of time to fight for it. That Chattanooga have not been able to earn more than 25 or so seconds from each of these hills. And again, that's why we were seeing it in the scoreline this early. Embassy is a map that will reward you for coordinated team play around the map. High Point most definitely doing that, and that's why we see scorelines like this get run up. If you can get a full 60 on P5, we're looking at 180 points. Chattanooga have to make a stand here early. Try and stay in this one, because High Point, they've absolutely come out swinging. Another clean kill feed.
Slim through the back line. I mean, this is basically going to be the deciding factor here. If he gets those kills, maybe things turn around in here towards the kitchen, but yeah, it's such a hard one to come between, because you have 3, not making 4 different people streaking on High Point. All of a sudden, they're at 145, almost a 100-point advantage. And yes, Embassy is a map where you can have those swing hills from time to time, but it just doesn't feel like you snowball this hard all that often on a lot of these contested hills. So it speaks volumes to what the Panthers are doing, but at the same time, Mox COD just are not finding any success on the map right now, whether it be kills, team pushes, or rotations.
I mean, again, all of this goes, everything you just said goes hand in hand. If you're not trading well, you're going to give up more of the map and therefore make it harder to get from hill to hill and have established setups. Sexton, the only one not in double digits. Why? Because he's about to eclipse 2 minutes of hill time. Sebi is on a 7 spree here now with streaks. I mean, this one feels like it's over before we really even got things started. High Point have come out here electric on Embassy. The teams that are great at Embassy, well, it shows night in and night out.
He's 120 points. and Chattanooga's not even set up for this mid portion of the map. They're just trying to get some of that hit and elevation advantage, but Devilish up the staircase didn't have a great control or a great map number 1, but Brewing was there as well. Jumps down behind Red Chase. All of a sudden, it's another 3 kills that go to the way of the Panthers, and they can start soaking up the time here on the hill. Split spawns to the north and south portions of the map. Sexton's just running it down. Devilish there as well. There is no stopping the aggression from High Point right now. This is getting dangerously close to a 100-point club, and unless a miracle happens, Panthers are going to be flying into a map 5.
And let's just continue to drive from the point you made going into this. You said the ARs are the one to watch. Well, Brewing having just 2 less kills than both ARs combined for Chattanooga. So if that isn't speaking to volumes to how comfortable he's feeling on this map, I'm not sure what will. You get a good amount of time here on P1. Unfortunately, it's barely enough to scratch the surface of the mountain you need to climb back to get into this game. You are really 1 hill from closing it out, of course, but again, if you get the first 15 at least off of this, you're going to have that win condition set. You can pick and choose time from there. Chattanooga are going to have to start flying at this point. There is 200. You can close it out here, barring no contestation. Chattanooga have a decision to make, and, well, it has to come in now.
I mean, if you call back to the last set of rotations, it was the side of High Point who didn't even let a contest come in towards the hill, and it looks like it might just be more of the same here. Spawns are still going to be close here for UT Chattanooga. Sexton will back off all the way over back towards the Heglich. He's got help from his teammate who was close as well, and even though the north side spawns came in from High Point, they're still going to retain every ounce, every square foot around this hill by P2, and UT Chattanooga just cannot win a gunfight. That, simply put, they cannot win a gunfight. Oh, well, but maybe Red Chase can, but he still loses another one. They can still win off of this hill. They gotta fly back.
Pixels has to fly back. You're trying to get someone to overlook. They have to go with this. You're going to get the free P3 rotation. I mean, this is going to be the game here. If it wasn't already, well, the fact that they were able to get back in, force everyone from Chattanooga to turn around and take their focus off P3. That's going to be the nail in the coffin. Maybe here you can try to get a break and get over the 100-point mark, but no. High Point Esports came out, punched you in the mouth. I mean, 22 from Brewing, 23-7 out of Sebi, 230 in the hill at Sexton. Devilish needed to turn up in the respawn, doing just that. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to map 5.
250-91, a game that started quick and ended quick. And really no sign of the Mox COD roster flying around the map here whatsoever. It was Panthers just taking a stroll into a map number 5. Well, we're going to El Asilo. for our final map inside of the series. I guess we can just talk very briefly about, what we maybe haven't touched on here in the map. But regardless, 24-7 from Sebi. That's over triple positive, by the way, for quick math people. 22-12 from Brewing. A lot of great stats there towards the end. High Point flying in map 4. We said they needed to show up in a big way to force a map number 5. We thought maybe UT Chattanooga would be able to rebound easily after that first hard point went astray, because they had, a 70-80 point advantage to the halfway point in that game. Yeah, that could have been, you could have written anything, any statistic you wanted to. I don't think anybody expected High Point to be able to come out with a thrashing that bad.
Yeah, little did we know, we looked at the vetoes in the maps that High Point Esports was just licking their chops. They're like, hey, if we have to, we know map 4. We've got it in the bag. Embassy, looking fluid around it. Everyone, again, the workload distribution was so even for them there. Very well composed. And I think what really blew the game wide open, and you had really hit on it, was the P4 break the first to go around. How coordinated, they played it slow. Everyone got to their entrances. Got to where they needed to, and again, when they said go, everyone collapsed and they were able to get a break. They rotate to P5, get the full 60. From there, again, the game was more than put away.
Oh boy. Well, this is going to be a quick highlight reel and a quick replay for you. Talking about map number 5 a little bit, we'll dig a bit more in depth when we come back from that eventual break, but just kind of giving a quick preview here. If you missed map number 2, it was a 6-5 win from UT Chattanooga that started out with them being hot. High Point came back. UT Chattanooga came back with a refrag. We saw that. It just kind of seeing the scoreboard once again. Nobody over 12 kills on UT Chattanooga. That is not like them. Very uncharacteristic of MoxCOD. I don't expect them to be remembering that one for too long. Their sights are obviously on that game 5, but if at top of the show, we already didn't say that there was a rivalry starting to brew between these two teams in the Southeast Division. You can bet your sweet Billy that that's exactly what's happening now.
And High Point are playing with a chip on their shoulder after that one. I was worried, and as you do, when you take a tough loss to go down 2-1 in the series, it was a 3-1 control loss. It wasn't super close. You wonder how they're going to rally back. I mean, no worries on their end. They rally back in a monstrous way. And like you said, we're going to a game 5 here, and I couldn't be more excited. Seeing as map 2 went into round 11, I'm feeling like this one could have that potential, but who knows at this point.
Well, there's literally not anything else left to say for map number 4. Blowout game that sees High Point force a map number 5. You couldn't have asked for a better series to kick off the Modern Warfare 2 CCL season. We're going to send things to a quick break. When we come back, El Asilo, Search and Destroy, game number 5. Well, the first 2 maps couldn't have been closer. The second 2 maps leading into this final Search and Destroy have been anything but close. We'll take a look at our series overset and our outlook here throughout the entirety of our best of 5 series so far. But High Point Esports forcing a map 4 victory over the MoxCOD roster gets us to a final map 5. We'll go to El Asilo for our final map here. But again, just taking a look at where we have been throughout the course of this series so far, the scorelines alone should tell you everything that you need to know.
It's been quite the journey we've been on. We thought it was a roller coaster through 1 and 2. A little did we know 3 and 4 were coming along. And now we go to El Asilo, where I think my focus is going to be on Sebi. Does he have the sniper? Is it impactful is the other point of that. It was moderately useful there on Hotel. What impact can he find? Because he's been flying and frying with the Vaznev. And well, in the close quarter of a bomb site, that definitely could be an impact. It's just, again, going to show his kind of end-game awareness and intelligence as far as what's needed, what's most effective, and that could be a make-or-break point for High Point, given how the Search and Destroy could go for them. And for Chattanooga, we just said that, you took a tough control loss, High Point, how can you bounce back? Now you turn and ask the same thing to Chattanooga. Well, you took a tougher respawn loss in the hard point. How do you look to bounce back in the Search and Destroy? Where, fortunately, you do have map 2 win under your belt, but you look at the trends, Chattanooga's got the favorite. You go to momentum. Right now, High Point has the favorite. Again, I couldn't call this one closer or be more clueless on where it could go if I tried. But hey, if the one thing we got right is Sebi's going to have the sniper, we'll see what he can do early.
Yeah, I don't mind this on offense, especially if you're making a push over towards this B zone. Very long range angles that you're going to be fighting up against. But Chattanooga didn't send anybody out on the defensive side over towards this B zone. But the second that they realize that nobody's hitting in towards the middle of the building, they send all those reinforcements back through their spawn lines. They get set up and have themselves power positions. Now Superior will be found out, though. All the way in the back lines is going to be Slim, who has a sniper out himself. So this is really going to be the tale of two halves. If you can get the sniper from one side to go ahead and walk away with the first pick, that opens up a slurry of new opportunities, but that bomb going down is going to force 45 seconds in Chattanooga.
And I would really keep an eye on the Pixels and Sexton saga there in the middle building. That allows Pixels to wrap through the back, so Sebi could be playing here, but again, Pixels able to chop one down at range through soccer field. Sebi needs to combine for this kill here. Has to earn it the hard way. Bomb is down, so it's going to be a 2v2, but again, Sebi out of the play. We'll see if he picks up an automatic weapon and gets a little bit closer, but if they look to collapse here, you've got the advantage of your Chattanooga. Sebi's got to make the play. They've hopped the defuse. Can he get here? His time's dwindling. Oh.
He's trying to run across there, but like, again, it comes down to Devilish being impatient in these situations. We saw it at the end of the first Search and Destroy round 11 where he just wanted to run with 30 seconds left to try and force a one-on-one gunfight in the kitchen before, maybe another play is made from the team that has the bomb down. But this time you have the entirety of that the B bomb site to yourself. You're sitting inside of it. All you need to do is play patient there, wait for Sebi to make his move across the map. But what happens? You push out the doorway. You have to look left and right to try and clear both of the corners while they're trying to pinch back onto the site with you. Superior was up on top of the A building, and you just die, and then you force Sebi to have to sprint back over towards the site before they can get the defuse off, and it's just not going to work when they get set up. So again, this is little things that Devilish needs to learn to play a bit more passive with, but it's things that just come with time and things that they can work on throughout the season, but it could be very disastrous here in the Search and Destroy. Either way, back to the offense here. UT Chattanooga going to try and play this in towards A, at least at the initial look. Devilish up in towards the top of the window. Will spot one. Tries to go out for Slim one of the second. At least he's able to walk away with one before he falls. 3 versus 3 left in the round.
Lucky you're able to trade it out, but just as the Hotel S&D provided, High Point like to take the routes and the lanes that are open to them. It doesn't have to be a wide flank. They'll take mid-map if it is open. Chattanooga, we'll see how long they're able to give that up. Sebi up close and personal, trying to connect with the sniper. Has nothing for now, but you backed him completely out of the sight. I say that until Red Chase finds one, Slim quick on the other. So, you've got your sniper player left in a 1v situation. Bomb will go down. Isn't able to hit a single shot there with the pistol. No look with the sniper. And, yeah, you're just scattering like ants at this point, making him come and hunt you down. This one gonna go the way of Chattanooga.
It's like I get the point of like pulling out the pistol there. Like, bro, you have a sniper and he has no idea that you're there yet. So like all you got to do is just like pull out the sniper and just hope that you can walk away with the kill. If you don't do it, it's the same thing as whipping all your pistol shots. But Red Chase will win the one up and towards the top with the Vaz Nev in hand. UT Chattanooga get their second round on the board, looking very similar to what we saw on map 2.
Good execution over day. Great bounce back round here. It's not going to be 3 straight from either team. At least to start on a 3-0 advantage, but both teams making the adjustments they need. Now here's where you start to see, again, what do either team do on this side of the bomb? Now that we're back to a Chattanooga second defense, a High Point second offense. You hit B off the rip, so again, that's going to force Chattanooga to pay a little more respect to it. There's no way they give that up a second time. Maybe that goes with their tempo here, quick over towards A. Chattanooga, though, we'll see if they end up biting towards B, but again, they might be putting their attention here as A well.
Pixels outside will have the dead silence. Stun check going to be there, though, and he forces his way into the doorway, and that's bad timing because Devilish is ready and waiting for Pixels to hop on in towards those double doors. Playing him behind the bar. Slowly waiting for a push-up. Knows that one could potentially be lurking around, but it's 2 players left alive on High Point to the 3 of UT Chattanooga. The defense has the man advantage for now. Still tons of time to work this bomb towards the site.
There's a route. That's your bomb carrier.
For free, too.
Yeah, usually you're like, oh no, if your bomb carrier dies in that position, well, it's Sebi, so probably not dying in that position. Able to get the free plan over here at B. And now at 2v2, and again, that gives Devilish potential. Does he play this slow? Because someone's watching it in Superior. We'll see what timing he gets. I don't know if he's able to see him as he runs through the back, but it's 2 1v1s here for it. You're in the bomb side if you're Red Chase, and he could just hop this. Does Sebi have a line of sight? We'll find out in a moment, but no.
Sebi doesn't see them on the bomb. Sebi doesn't see him on the bomb. Is he going to be able to get around in time? He's going to shoot. Oh, okay. And he walks away with it. But, he was checking it there beforehand. I thought maybe, okay, well, he's probably like, oh, he's going to stretch the bomb. Yeah, sure. But maybe he was trying to play for like the other side. Like, okay, well, he's not going to be able to stretch the bomb behind that far, is he? And then when you realize, hey, Devilish, where is he at? And you're like, oh, no, I've seen him across the map. He's like, oh, I got to go check the bomb. So he does that. He gets up close to it. Goddamn close to it. And maybe about half a second towards the end there. It's the difference maker between a round win for the side of UT Chattanooga and High Point Esports, but got to stick it in that situation. There's no way you're getting both of those kills. Back to offense for the MoxCon roster. Slim leading the way at 4-1. It's been a good search and destroy start for them so far. Going to try to capitalize here on another O.
Gets the wall hop eventually. Just to get back down, Devilish. He has a Vasnev. I don't know that I like this chow out of him, but maybe trying to close distance. A great nade gets tossed. It is a diagonal cut across this map with Sebi leading the charge, slipping through the lines again, and no one the wiser for it as Sebi's now in your back lines and could be shooting players in the back here momentarily. It's just, again, I don't know. I don't know why.
I mean, Sebi didn't realize that he was like gripping the back wall there, so he couldn't have walked away with a kill, and all of a sudden what could have been a great round for the Panthers with one flanking all the way through the back lines. You don't get anything. You allow UT Chattanooga to set up their spawn, or excuse me, set up their trap and towards the middle of the building. That works into the bomb site. You're almost able to get the bomb down, and well, yeah, that is going to end things very, very quickly for you no matter what happens. Slim now 5 kills inside of the search and destroy, still leading the way for UT Chattanooga, but everybody in a flawless round is going to stay alive there, put themselves up 3-1 in Force High Point once again, down a good margin of rounds early on in the game, get themselves back into yet another search and destroy.
It's hard not for it to be influential. I mean, Brewing, who everyone has themselves a map, of course, on Embassy, but, you know, really your kill leader. 0-4 here. Sexton not able to get anything going either. Feeling like a 2v4 at times for High Point early on. Chattanooga taking full advantage. Everyone on the board for them and performing well. Why they see the 3-1 lead they do. High Point not confident yet and executing on the site. Slim is able to find a long-range gunfight with the sniper. And now with the nade trade back, High Point have a decision to make on where they want to go. But again, with minimal information on where players are playing in Warehouse, they're just going to have to feel this one out.
That's a good nade. But an even better kill from Red Chase as he gets aggressive into the back line of High Point. Seen this many times on defense. Teams love to get aggressive on El Asilo. So many lanes that your subs can start to make routes through, and that puts pressure on the offensive side to get control of a specific site early on in the round. You don't do that this round. Red Chase makes him pay for it. Back on the staircase, he'll snap back up as his teammate gets a kill down below inside of the A site as well, and that'll put UT Chattanooga up 4-1. Lackluster here is the High Point Panthers in a map number 5. After a high-flying hard point there in map number 4 on Embassy. Something's got to change.
They don't look like their decisions are really confident. Around their last confident play was their first round going towards B. Ever since then, whether it's Sebi putting with a sniper or at least playing at different angles, Slim has been more effective. Now we'll see if he still has it out here, but it hasn't looked confident in any of the decisions they've tried to play. Not winning through the mid-round as well is definitely hurting them. The rounds Chattanooga have won, I mean, it's been clean. It's been 3 or 4 standing still. Like you said, adjustment has to be made. It's got to start now. You don't want to put them at map point and something like this. Devilish with a good trade in the mid-map. Trying to get with his life, but Superior takes a high angle. Ooh. Able to get that one there. Back and forth kill feed. Now left to a 2v1. Favoring Chattanooga Brewing. Got to go big here to get on the board to stay alive. At least stop them from getting a match point.
I mean, he had a good hard point, but the search and destroy, he's been non-existent. I mean that literally. 0-5. Sexton was able to get his kill, first kill 2 rounds ago, and as he hops up here, no longer has the dead silence. Superior is going to know exactly where this play is coming from. Cuts it down. Not a full steal you're going to have to commit to, but it's damn near close. 1-5, the disadvantage. 4 straight rounds you'll need to even get this thing tied. 5 in a row you'll have to take. If you want to be able to find yourselves a search and destroy win in the first series win inside of the CCL season, it's been a really, really solid first opening 5 maps to what's going to be a great season, but things need to change now. If you're High Point, you do not want to start the season off 0-1, but much less, you don't want to show your flaws in search and destroy this early.
Asilo can be a tricky one to sort out at times. High Point, they're going to have to figure it out now. Offensively, we'll see how quickly they get to the site. All 4 players bullying through. It's going to be a 1-2-1 split. Out of Chattanooga, they're in the bomb site, you get the kill. Now that's going to be, okay, information, here's where the play is coming from. Now starting to spread out, try to get this post plant set up, but it's a 3-pronged attack coming through, and who is it? Pixels in the back line here could blow this all up.
Oh, at least they stay alive. They don't get cut down by Pixels immediately, but that nade's going to cut one down in the corner, at least get him weak. Brewing, first kill of the game, on to Superior, 4 versus 2. Pixel, Slim, the last 2 alive. There's really not 2 other people inside of the search and destroy that I'd like to be alive in this situation, and there's still 30 seconds left to play here. Slim has yet to get figured out. First one to the bomb site. He has actually information on 2 different players, so that's the first one there. Now it's all of a sudden a 1 versus 1 back over towards the bomb site. Pixels is just going to try and stick to the fuse, won't be able to walk away with it. Somehow, some way, High Point will be able to survive yet another search and destroy round, but it was by the skin of their teeth. I don't know if I'd be willing to replicate that round again.
Brewing finding 3 in the round there too, or excuse me, 2. Big for him. I mean, when the dust settled, it was a pinstripe kill feed looking like a hard point for a moment. Dust settles and you're able to collect yourself, you stay alive. Really, you cannot look at the scoreboard if you're High Point and just have to go 1 round at a time. They got to the A site quickly, got the bomb down as well, and boy, did they need every second of it, as you'd call it. 30 seconds left, and still, Chattanooga stood a chance.
Oh, no.
Aggressive defensively up on Slim. What can you find here if you get up close and personal? Shots are being shot, or excuse me, being fired. I have Sebi. Ooh, might have slipped the net, but just...
It's like you can't just not flank on this map when you're on defense, but you can't do the same thing every round. Take the same route every round. That's what they've done every defense so far, and it's like, oh, why are we getting shut down? Well, no wonder you're getting shut down, because everybody from Chattanooga is exactly aware of where you are on the map and what you're going to be doing, and now you're left alive in a 1 versus 3. The series on the line. Sexton has been such a great player in the CCL, but he won't be able to win the gunfight on the Slim. 6-2, an uneventful search and destroy that sees MoxCOD be able to take what was a whopping on their half on the Embassy into stomping here in map number 5. 6-2, the final score line. They'll take the series 3-2, and they'll be up 1-0 on the season here in the CCL.
Who could put up the more demoralizing finish? And I'm going to say Chattanooga get the last laugh there with the Game 5 victory. Slim at 10-3. And again, everyone else was 6-7 kills at least, but that goes to show for Chattanooga where they were getting punished on those same routes you just, criticized High Point for taking. Chattanooga was giving up. But again, Chattanooga made the adjustment in the Game 5 to account for that, to constantly be watching that alley route. It wasn't creative. It was one-dimensional out of the Panthers. Chattanooga made the adjustment to punish them for it, and they did severely. A 6-2 victory there. Comfortable in that search and destroy. And I mean, you just couldn't get anything going. The flanks, the routes, that's what you specialize in the search and destroy to stay alive, and you couldn't get any of that. I don't think anyone ever pushed through cell tower side of the map. Everything tried to work through B and through field side, which are the more open portions. I mean, no one, again, it was just too one-dimensional out of High Point. Those are reads an elementary student could make. Chattanooga just holding pre-aims and finding kills.
And it sucks too, because like there were plenty of opportunities where you saw High Point, hey, we walked away with the first blood here, we got an immediate trade, and they did nothing with it. They just allowed UT Chattanooga to be there and trade out after the fact. And I guess that's also kind of a compliment to the MoxCOD roster as well, saying like, hey, like, sure, like you were able to make those adjustments early on. Yes, High Point didn't, kind of read that you made those adjustments, but you were putting yourselves in the best positions at every point in the game to, win a 2v1 gunfight or a 2v2 gunfight. Like, you were always coming out on top of your trades. You were always in the best situations possible, and that's not possible without great teamwork, chemistry, and cooperation. And when you're getting the same kind of shallow, nonchalant looks from your opposition every round, and you can just read what they're doing, it's almost like you have a wide view of like everything on the map. It's like that spatial awareness that you have just takes over, and you can see every little thing that's happening on the map without really even like actually needing to see it in like in a wide view lane. So GG to High Point, I guess. Again, it was a good back-to-back couple of games throughout the series, but, MoxCOD, despite that heartbreaking map 1 loss and that, the stomping that they received in the Embassy and Hard Point, they come out on top, they win the series, and I guess that's really all that matters at the end of the day. No one's going to remember, oh man, you remember that map 4 Hard Point, we had a 100-point club? No, nobody's going to remember that unless you're, an opponent trying to attack them on that map, but that might be, an instant veto, but everybody's going to remember that you're up 1-0, and you already knocked High Point down a peg, who was trying to, resurrect the wrongs from the last season, just like you're trying to do on the MoxCOD side.
I think the overarching theme to pull from this is, well, S&D, you say it wins championships, it wins series, you lose both of them here if you're Hard Point. So like you said, no matter how well the respawns went for you, at least in the hard points, search and destroy always going to be the one that'll reign supreme there at the end. And Chattanooga getting the best of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, overall, there's really not much left to say in the series. We got a lot more Call of Duty coming up here throughout the rest of the night, going up into our next couple of matches. It's going to be exciting. Of course, coming up, after the short break, we got the Akron Zips, the Brock Bandits, and then later on for our final match of the night, LSU takes on a new entry into the CCL Mars Hill Esports. But before we send things to a quick break, a big thank you to the people that make this possible here throughout College COD this season. Of course, Fandom, where you can find a lot of the different Call of Duty stats, whatever that might be for challengers, CCL, or of course the actual CDL, and of course America's Navy, touted as the most technologically advanced military force in the world. The Navy offers more than 60 career fields and cutting-edge programs. You take a look at things like cryptology, nuclear engineering, special warfare, and much, much more. A huge thanks to America's Navy for being a partner with us this season of the CCL. Anyways, and now that that's out of the way and this series is done and drawn to a close, we've got a lot of things to talk about on the flip side of a break. So don't go anywhere. Stay close. We got another match coming up very, very soon, just around the corner. The Akron Zips taking on the Brock Bandits. You won't want to miss it. Be back in just a minute.